Mark Francois is the Shadow Defence Minister and joins me now. Mark, just give us a sense of what Parliament is discussing at the moment.
Thank you, Peter. I've literally come hot foot from the House of Commons chamber where the debate is in progress, and forgive me, I'll have to nip back fairly shortly.
Totally appreciate you stepping out, Mark. Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to give your viewers a flavour of what's going on. So we're debating the Northern Ireland Troubles Bill, and the effect of this legislation is it would restart what I call the conveyor belt of inquest and civil prosecutions, lawfare against our veterans who served in Northern Ireland on Operation Banner, over 700 of whom were murdered by terrorists. Thousands had life-changing injuries. Now, perhaps I'm biased, but the government are getting hammered in there at the moment. And I intervened on Tony Benn, the Northern Ireland Secretary, during his opening speech, and said...
Hilary Benn.
Hilary Benn, I'm sorry. Yeah. Forgive me. Sorry, Freudian slip. Son of. I intervened on him and I said, basically, if your bill is so good, why have 9 retired very senior officers, 8 4-star generals and a 4-star Air Chief Marshal, written an open letter to the Times, unprecedented in all the years I've been an MP, and I've been an MP for nearly a quarter of a century, describing your bill, Secretary of State, as a direct threat to national security. And to be honest, he didn't really have an answer. He said he didn't agree with them. Well, there's a surprise. But he didn't really have a fitting answer. And more as this debate goes on, and by the way, there are a dozen veterans up in the gallery, many in their berets, exercising their constitutional right to sit in the gallery and listen to legislation that affects them. And they're looking like they're listening pretty intently too. And they're looking down on us. And as the debate is evolving, more and more people, even a few on the Labour benches, are questioning what the government are doing. And importantly, the Liberal Democrats, their spokesman announced about half an hour ago that when it comes to the vote tonight at 7 o'clock, they will vote with us, effectively against Labour's bill. So at the moment, it looks like it's pretty much only Labour MPs and the minor parties like the SDLP that are going to vote for this benighted bit of legislation.
It will almost certainly go through, though, because of Labour's majority, certainly, Mark. So I just wonder, I mean, you're raising these points, you're putting these points in the public domain, you're challenging the government, you're opposing doing what you're meant to do. I just wonder, will it have an effect, do you think, between now and 7? Is there any prospect of the government changing its mind, even in small ways?
If you look at Hilary Benn's opening speech, I doubt it. We'll wait for the ministers' wind up. The government have offered no kind of concessions or changes that I've heard in the debate. But look, as you say, it's our job to hold them to account. We're doing it.
And you've talked, Mark, about the effect historically, what those generals were saying. We spoke to one of them last week, actually, on the programme, was that there's an effect not just for those who've served in Northern Ireland, but Afghanistan, Iraq, other places as well where they've served this country, but also for men and women in uniform today, because of the legal oversight, the fact that they, I think in the letter they said something like they have the enemy in front of them, but they have the lawyer behind them.
Correct. That is exactly what they said. And the generals, and they should know something about it, also raised a very pertinent point of the effect on recruitment and retention if this legislation goes through. In its simplest terms, why would anybody want to join the British Army if you're involved in a firefight and you take a split-second decision and 50 years later you could end up in a court on a trial of murder? No one is saying that our soldiers are above the law, but they had to comply with very strict instructions, a thing called the yellow card. And obviously the terrorists did not. And the fact that these generals have broken cover is very unusual for senior officers, even retired officers, to do. And the Labour Party are now under real pressure on that in the chamber. Now, if they win the vote tonight, I believe it will be a Pyrrhic victory for Labour. I believe genuinely a lot of Labour MPs don't really, I don't mean to be patronising, but they genuinely don't understand what this rather complicated bill does.
It is a very complicated piece of legislation.
Yeah, £107. And I, you know, without being a martyr, I reread the whole thing on Sunday. That's my job. But this bill will eventually transition to the House of Lords. Now, there the government have no majority. The House of Lords has different strong conventions about the amount of time that has to pass between the stages of a bill. So our equivalent of this was debated for 9 months in the Lords, our legacy bill. And there are some retired senior officers, usually
a lot of people with a lot of expertise there.
I know. So my point is, even if the government achieve a Pyrrhic victory tonight, let's see what happens in the new year when the bill goes to the House of Lords.
Okay, Mark, thank you. I'll let you get back to the debate. I appreciate you stepping out to speak to us. That is Mark Francois, the Shadow Defence Minister for the Conservatives. What do you think about this? 0344 499 1000.